There is a bottle sitting in roughly 97% of American refrigerators right now. Most households have two. Some have three. Ketchup is not just a condiment in the United States. It is a cultural institution, a product so embedded in daily life that people put it on the table the same way they put salt on the table, without thinking, without reading, without asking a single question about what is actually inside. That unexamined habit is worth 10 billion bottles a year, and it is one of the most aggressively under-scrutinized food categories in the country. In recent years, independent food testing laboratories, nutrition researchers, and consumer advocacy groups have raised documented, verifiable concerns about the ingredient profiles sitting inside some of America's most purchased ketchup brands. Not fringe claims, not online speculation. Specific, checkable problems with specific, readable ingredients. High fructose corn syrup formulations that have not changed in decades. Synthetic sweetener substitutions that trade one contested ingredient for a different one. Sodium loads sitting above recommended thresholds. Disclosure language engineered to be legally accurate and practically uninformative. Health certifications that are real in a narrow sense and misleading in a broader one. And the brands carrying these issues are not the unfamiliar ones at the back of the shelf. They are the ones with the most advertising spend, the most shelf space, the ones in every diner, every stadium concession stand, every school cafeteria in the country. Today, we are going through 7 U.S. ketchup brands you need to leave on the shelf. Then we are giving you 3 that are genuinely worth buying. And here is the important part before we start. Every single safe brand on this list is available in the same grocery stores, on the same shelves, within arm's reach of the brands we are about to cover. The price difference is almost always under $1. The ingredient difference is not marginal. Before the list, one piece of context worth holding on to. The American ketchup market generates over $2 billion in annual retail sales. The top 5 brands control roughly 90% of that figure. Consumer choice in this category is not a genuinely open market. It is a small number of very large corporations competing for a purchasing habit that most American households have never seriously examined. Every formulation decision being made inside that market reflects the business priorities of those corporations, not the health priorities of the people consuming the product. Across every brand on today's avoid list, we are watching for the same signals. High fructose corn syrup in the primary ingredient positions. Sodium content running above 150 milligrams per standard tablespoon serving. The natural flavors declaration used as a legal catch-all, covering an unspecified range of compounds. Synthetic sweeteners replacing one ingredient concern with a different one. And front-of-pack health claims drawing your eye towards selective positives while leaving the full ingredient picture off the label entirely. Once you can recognize those patterns, you will see them on multiple products simultaneously. Let us start with brand number 7. Brand number 7, Red Gold. Red Gold is one of the most enthusiastically marketed regional ketchup brands in the American Midwest. The branding is warm and deliberate. American tomatoes, family farming, a logo that communicates roots and reliability. Everything about the presentation has been designed to feel like a trustworthy choice. Turn the bottle over. The second ingredient in Red Gold's standard ketchup, sitting directly below tomato concentrate, is high fructose corn syrup. Directly below that is corn syrup again. 2 separate processed corn sweeteners listed consecutively, stacked one above the other, before you reach anything else in the formula. A standard tablespoon serving delivers 4 grams of sugar. That is a full teaspoon of processed sweetener in a single tablespoon application. And most people are not using 1 tablespoon. A realistic pour for a burger or a plate of fries runs 2 to 3 tablespoons. Apply that across a household using ketchup 5 or 6 times a week, and the cumulative numbers become genuinely difficult to dismiss. The sodium content follows the same pattern. 1 tablespoon delivers 160 milligrams. 3 tablespoons on a meal puts you at roughly a third of the American Heart Association's recommended daily sodium ceiling from a single condiment application alone. There is also a sourcing question Red Gold chooses not to answer on its label. The brand does not specify whether its tomatoes are grown under conventional or organic farming conditions. Tomatoes carry some of the highest measured pesticide residue levels among commercially grown produce in the United States. When a brand that centers its entire identity on the quality of its tomatoes declines to tell you how those tomatoes are farmed, that silence is a communication choice. It is worth treating it as one. Red Gold wins regional taste tests, and that sweetness profile is real and effective. It is also a significant part of why the formula is built the way it is. Taste and ingredient quality are not the same measurement, and Red Gold is being evaluated on one while asking you to ignore the other. Brand number 6, Del Monte Tomato Ketchup. Del Monte has been in American kitchens since 1886. That longevity generates passive trust at a level most brands cannot buy with advertising. The name arrived preloaded with a quality assumption, and that assumption has been doing a significant amount of covering work ever since. The standard Del Monte ketchup formula builds from tomato paste concentrate rather than whole or fresh crushed tomatoes. That distinction is nutritionally meaningful. Tomato concentrate is already a heat-processed reduction. Starting from that base and then running it through the ketchup manufacturing process again compounds the degradation of naturally occurring antioxidant content, particularly lycopene, the compound responsible for most of the documented health value associated with tomatoes. The product you are consuming starts from a nutritionally compromised base and does not recover from there. The tomato imagery on the label and the tomato reality in the bottle are not describing the same thing. The sweetener is high fructose corn syrup. Del Monte has not introduced a reformulated version to meet the growing consumer demand for HFCS-free alternatives. Multiple competitors sitting at comparable price points have moved in that direction over the last several years. Del Monte has not. The ingredient listed as natural flavors is where the label becomes genuinely uninformative. Under current FDA regulations, that phrase is a legally permitted disclosure category that can encompass hundreds of distinct chemical compounds as long as they originate from natural sources in some form. The regulation does not require the manufacturer to specify which compounds are present. Del Monte does not specify. You are reading two words that carry almost no practical information about a portion of the formula's actual composition. At Del Monte's current retail price, which in most stores sits within 50 cents of meaningfully cleaner alternatives, that level of opacity is not a trade worth accepting. You are paying comparable money for a product that tells you less, and the labeling is designed to make that as invisible as possible. Brand number 5, Heinz Reduced Sugar Ketchup. This one catches people off guard. It should. Heinz is the most trusted name in American ketchup. That trust is largely earned in certain product lines, and we will come to those in the second half of this video. But right now, millions of American consumers are specifically selecting a Heinz product under the impression that they are making the cleaner, more health-aware choice. The evidence does not support that impression. Heinz Reduced Sugar Ketchup removes the standard sweetener and replaces it with sucralose. Sucralose is a synthetic, chlorinated sugar derivative sold commercially under the Splenda brand name. Here's the problem with that substitution. The science on sucralose has shifted considerably over the past 5 to 6 years. Studies appearing in peer-reviewed nutrition and environmental health journals have raised specific documented questions about sucralose's impact on gut microbiome composition, its potential to generate insulin-signaling responses despite containing no caloric content, and concerns about its stability at elevated temperatures. The FDA's general recognition of sucralose as safe was last comprehensively reviewed before this body of research existed. The regulatory designation and the current scientific literature are not pointing in the same direction. So what are you actually doing when you pick up Heinz Reduced Sugar? You are swapping one contested ingredient for a different one with its own unresolved questions, while the packaging delivers clear health messaging that the product data does not cleanly support. The reduced sugar declaration in bold text, the visual design in green tones, the general impression of a responsible, informed choice. All of that is packaging architecture, not evidence. The label is reaching a conclusion that the ingredient panel should be earning. If reducing your sugar intake is genuinely your goal, there is a ketchup on this list that achieves exactly that without any synthetic sweetener of any kind. We are coming to it in part 2. But Heinz Reduced Sugar is not that product, and it is not presenting itself honestly. Brand number 4, Walmart Great Value Ketchup. The most purchased ketchup brand in America that almost nobody discusses does not belong to Heinz or Hunt's. It belongs to Walmart. Great Value Ketchup moves through the store network in volumes that rival major named brands. No television campaigns, no celebrity associations. Just the lowest listed price in the condiment aisle, sitting in front of tens of millions of purchasing decisions every single week. The formula reflects exactly what that price point requires. Great Value Ketchup is engineered to a cost ceiling. Private label products are structured this way by design. But the consequence is that every ingredient decision runs through a cost optimization filter, and the resulting formula makes that plainly visible. High fructose corn syrup is the second ingredient. Sodium comes in at 190 milligrams per tablespoon, running higher than most of the named alternatives on the same shelf. The tomato concentration is noticeably lower, which accounts for the thinner texture. To compensate for that textural weakness and maintain the flavor profile consumers associate with ketchup, the formula leans harder on sweetener. In practical terms, you are largely tasting processed corn sweetener and registering it as tomato. There is also an artificial color additive in the formula that does not appear in the major named brands on the adjacent shelf. That alone would be sufficient reason to move on. Here is the calculation worth making. At Walmart's own stores, the price gap between Great Value ketchup and the cleanest alternative we are going to recommend sits under $1 in most locations, frequently 50 cents. The ingredient difference between those two products is not a marginal distinction. If you are already in that store making that trip, the upgrade costs you almost nothing and closes a meaningful gap in what you are actually putting in your family's food. Walmart's pricing model is counting on most shoppers not stopping to run that comparison. Now you have run it. Brand number 3, Hunt's Original Ketchup. Hunt's holds approximately 20% of the American ketchup market. That is the second largest share in the country, and it represents hundreds of millions of bottles sold every single year. The concern with Hunt's is not located in a niche line extension or a quietly reformulated variant. It is in the flagship bottle, the standard red label that appears on every backyard grill table, every school lunch counter, and every restaurant condiment station from Maine to California. The second ingredient in Hunt's original formulation is high fructose corn syrup. That has been consistent for years. Hunt's has introduced line extensions, including a no added sugar version with different sweetener approaches. But the bottle that the majority of American consumers are reaching for by instinct and by price, the original label, has not changed. The ownership context matters here. Hunt's is a ConAgra Brands product. ConAgra is one of the 5 largest processed food manufacturers in the United States. At that operational scale, product formulation decisions are not primarily motivated by nutritional considerations. They are motivated by manufacturing cost efficiency, shelf life stability, and flavor consistency across industrial production volumes. The Hunt's ingredient profile is a downstream result of those business priorities, not a nutritional one. The natural flavors declaration in Hunt's formula carries the same scrutiny issue as Del Monte. It is a broad, FDA-permitted disclosure category that provides almost no useful information about what specific compounds are actually present in the bottle. Hunt's does not specify them and is not required to. One final observation on the Hunt's marketing approach. The brand runs prominently on front-of-pack claims of no artificial preservatives and 100% natural tomatoes. Both of those statements are accurate. They are also very deliberately placed to direct your attention toward two things Hunt's is not doing, while the high fructose corn syrup in the second ingredient position receives no mention on the label's front panel. That is not a labeling oversight. It is a labeling strategy. Read the back of the bottle, not the front. The front panel is a sales tool. The ingredient list is the actual product. Brand number 2, Heinz Organic Ketchup. This requires careful framing because the first instinct when Heinz Organic appears on an avoid list is skepticism. USDA organic certification, no high fructose corn syrup, organic cane sugar as the sweetener. How does a product like that end up on this list? Here is how. Heinz Organic does carry a genuine USDA organic certification, and from a pesticide and corn sweetener standpoint, it is a measurable improvement over standard Heinz Original. That distinction is real and worth acknowledging. The problem is the sugar volume and the health perception it creates. A single tablespoon contains 4 grams of sugar, essentially identical to Hunt's and Red Gold. Organic cane sugar and high fructose corn syrup do produce somewhat different metabolic responses, but the total sugar load per serving is the same. And the organic certification creates a consumer perception of comprehensive healthfulness that the nutritional data does not fully back up. What is actually happening at the shelf is this. A health-conscious consumer reaches for Heinz Organic, feels they have made the responsible decision, and consumes it in the same volumes as the standard product. The organic badge has removed the scrutiny that would otherwise prompt them to check the sugar content. Heinz Organic is genuinely better than Heinz Original on specific, narrow dimensions. But that is a false choice, because there is a third Heinz product that addresses both concerns at the same time, and almost nobody knows it exists. We are covering that in about 2 minutes. Brand number 1, Heinz Original Classic Ketchup. This is the one. Heinz Original, the red bottle, the most purchased ketchup in the United States by a significant margin, commanding around 60% of the total market. Statistically speaking, if there is a ketchup in your refrigerator right now, it is probably this one. It contains high fructose corn syrup as its second ingredient. That fact is printed on the label. It has been there for decades. But Heinz has been America's ketchup since before anyone currently alive was born. The purchasing decision is not a decision, it is a reflex. And that reflex is so established that the ingredient list never gets read. That is the environment in which the HFCS has been sitting quietly for decades. Not hidden exactly, just never looked at. Here is where this becomes a different kind of story. Heinz makes a cleaner version of the same product. It is called Simply Heinz. The base recipe is the same tomatoes, same vinegar profile, same spice blend. The only difference is the sweetener, real cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. Blind taste tests have repeatedly found the two products functionally indistinguishable to most consumers. Simply Heinz is available at Target, Walmart, Kroger, Costco, and most major American grocery chains. It typically sits on the same shelf as Heinz Original. The price difference in most stores is under $1. Heinz has not run any campaign pointing this out. There is no advertising directing consumers from Original to Simply Heinz. Heinz Original has higher volume, an established purchasing habit, and a formulation that costs less to produce. There is no financial incentive for Heinz to accelerate the migration. The transition could happen for any consumer in 5 seconds at the shelf. Most will never make it because they did not know the choice existed. Now you do. Safe brand number 3, French's Classic Ketchup. French's built its American reputation in mustard. When the brand launched a ketchup line in 2017, the food industry was largely dismissive. Then people read the label. French's Classic Ketchup is made with 100% American-grown tomatoes, no high fructose corn syrup. The sweetener is regular cane sugar in a moderate quantity. The ingredient list is short, readable, and describes actual food. It attracted serious consumer attention at launch because the clean formula at a mass market price was genuinely uncommon. A ketchup that starts from real tomatoes with a reasonable sweetener profile tastes different from one built on tomato concentrate and corn syrup. The difference is perceptible even to people who have not paid attention to ketchup before. French's sits in the same broad price tier as Hunt's and Del Monte. It is not a premium health store product. It is a mainstream condiment with a cleaner formulation, available in the same grocery store where you are already shopping. Safe brand number 2, Sir Kensington's Classic Ketchup. Sir Kensington sits in a different tier. The price is higher, the distribution is narrower, and it is targeting the consumer who has already decided that ingredients matter and is willing to pay a modest premium. The formula earns that positioning. Non-GMO project verified, no high fructose corn syrup, no artificial additives or preservatives. The formula incorporates a small amount of balsamic vinegar that gives the flavor profile more complexity and depth than any of the standard brands. It tastes noticeably different because it is noticeably different. The relevant question is whether the price premium is worth it. The honest answer is that it depends on what you are optimizing for. If flavor complexity matters alongside clean ingredients, Sir Kensington's delivers both. The next brand covers that at no additional cost. Safe brand number 1, Simply Heinz. Simply Heinz is the clean version of the most trusted ketchup brand in the United States. Same recipe, same tomatoes, same flavor, no high fructose corn syrup, 100% cane sugar. That last point matters more than it sounds. Every recommendation like this runs into real-world resistance. People know what they like. They will try the new option once, decide it is slightly different, and go back to the old one. That resistance is not irrational. It is how food habits work. Simply Heinz bypasses that resistance entirely because it is not a different product. Your household will not notice the switch. Your children will not refuse it. The bottle looks nearly identical, the price is nearly identical, and the contents taste identical. The only thing that changes is what is in the formula. Simply Heinz is in Walmart, Target, Kroger, Costco, and most regional grocery chains. It is on the same shelf as Heinz Original right now. The next time you are in that aisle, you are looking for a label that says Simply Heinz. That is the entire behavior change. Here is what you now know. 7 brands on the avoid list. Red Gold, dual corn sweeteners, no sourcing transparency. Del Monte, concentrate base with HFCS. Heinz reduced sugar, A sucralose substitution the science has not caught up to approving. Great value, built to a cost ceiling with artificial color and higher sodium. Hunt's Original, HFCS in the flagship bottle with front-of-pack marketing designed to draw your eye away from it. Heinz Organic, cleaner in specific dimensions, but carrying the same sugar load with a health halo the data does not fully support. And Heinz Original, the most purchased ketchup in the country, with high fructose corn syrup as the second ingredient and a cleaner alternative sitting right next to it on the same shelf. 3 safe brands. French's for clean ingredients at a standard price point. Sir Kensington's for clean ingredients with a premium flavor profile. And Simply Heinz for the lowest friction switch available to most American households. The bottle in your fridge right now was probably chosen on autopilot. This is the 30 seconds of information that changes that setting. Go to your fridge, look at the label, check the second ingredient, and drop a comment telling us which brand was in there. We read every single one.